suggested that I might not be the type that I am, which was like kind of startling. But also I showed up really differently. I looked very 5-ish when I went to this retreat. And I was like, I had no feelings. So I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. And so I was taking a walk with a therapist who was there later. And I was like, what do you think? She was a 6. I asked her directly for feedback, right? So this is not like unwelcome. I was like, what do you think? Like, what was this? And she was like, well, you're just not very warm. And that's like the trope about self-pres 6s, right? It's like, we're very warm and friendly and all that. And I was just like,
yeah.
At the time, I don't know what I was feeling, but afterwards I was like, do Black people show warmth in the exact same way white people show warmth?
Mm.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Camille. And this is Enneagram for the Culture, where 2 dope Black therapists discuss how therapy, Blackness, and the Enneagram come together. Hello. We are here.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Let's introduce our first guest. I'm excited to introduce her. Our guest today is Valentine. She is a writer, an Enneagram coach, and the host of Enneagram-ish podcast. Her conversation skills took such a dive during COVID that strangers and friends always get an earful of the only thing she knows well, the Enneagram. It's a problem. In her free time, she loves virtual walks with friends, her COVID-born book club, and solo budget traveling. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Valentine.
Hi.
I have so many questions about your interests, like the virtual walks.
Let's go.
Yeah. Tell me more about that, because I'm intrigued.
Well, usually what happens is like, I'll just go on a walk around my neighborhood and then be on the phone with a friend for an hour. And I call that my little virtual walks.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like a FaceTime virtual walk, but it's
No. Because I feel like if I do that, then I'm just like looking at my screen outside.
Yeah, I would. That's why I was intrigued. But I love that. I call them phone dates, like phone on a walk. But I like the idea of a virtual walk. That's exactly what it is.
I also like phone date. That sounds good. That sounds good.
I love saying, do you want to make a phone date?
Ooh, that was sultry. I'll give you that.
We were just talking about the word sultry because my voice is a little hoarse. I went to this really fun dance party thing last night for Taylor Swift. It was ridiculous. And so my voice is all sultry.
Yeah, it is. We were talking about sultry and sexy, actually.
But we don't have to get into all that, Kim.
Okay.
So virtual walks, and then also another question I have, COVID-born book club. Please tell me more.
Yeah. So I'm a really big reader. I've like always been a huge reader. And most of the time I'm like convincing people to like talk to me about books they haven't read. So I'll be like, here's the summary. Okay, now let's talk about it. And so then I was like, this is annoying because nobody cares as much. And so I was like, does anybody want to be in a book club with me? And I put it on like I still have Facebook, on my Facebook and my Instagram. And then a bunch of people were like, sure. And then like maybe 5 people showed up, but it's been going strong for like 2 years now. And it's people from everywhere. Like we have Sydney, Australia, San Francisco, Toronto. So like we just like read books and talk about it every 6 weeks.
What is the book that we're reading right now?
Ooh. We just picked a book. It's called At Night, All the Blood is Black or something like that. I think it's a French book.
Okay.
I don't think it's a light read.
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound like a light. Doesn't sound like a light.
But it's fiction. So we alternate fiction and nonfiction.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are you looking for new members? Do you want us to drop the link? Or is it a closed group?
It's not a closed group. We haven't talked about I feel like I have to know the people who I invite.
Sure. Okay.
But other than that, I'm not too pressed.
So basically, to our listeners, sorry, you cannot join Valentine's book club. You have to find your own.
Or make your own.
Yes.
Make a way out of no way. Yep. Make it yourself. I love that. Yay. Thank you for answering my questions.
Okay. All right. So let's do one of our favorite parts. How did the Enneagram show up for you? Who's going first? Neil.
Me?
Yeah.
All right. Oh my gosh. Stop making me embarrassed.
I'm blushing.
My Enneagram type showed up. I noticed it. I actually just noticed it when we were getting ready. In my trash can, I just thrown away. I don't know if other people do this, and I don't know if it's a 7 thing or just something that I do. I keep all of my like room keys, hotel room keys, and like things from trips. I hold on to them for a while, especially if it was obviously if it's a good trip. So I just threw away the room key from my trip in December and also the room key from a trip last September. And I keep them in my wallet and they just make me smile because it reminds me of the trip. The other thing that I do to remind me of trips is I always follow, when I'm preparing for the trip, I will like follow Instagram accounts that are like geared around wherever I'm going or different travel like influencers and stuff. And I'll start to follow like the hotel or the town or wherever we're going. And then I keep it afterwards so that I can still like be reminded of that resort or that hotel or that city. I just saw one this morning for Porto, Portugal, which I went to last summer. And so I was like, oh yeah, I went there. So like I hold on to like the trip stuff. So again, I don't know if that's 70 or if that's just like someone who loves their trips.
Definitely sounds 70 to me. Definitely sounds 70 to me. Have you ever considered a way to actually collect and keep your
keepsakes?
You don't want to.
I've heard of that, but I don't I don't really love clutter and junk. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't want like a box of stuff or like, I do keep, I keep all my paper products, cards. Like if you give me a card, I will keep it forever. I just cleaned that out and I had stuff from like 2005. But yeah, like, no, I won't keep it. So I just that's why I like to just tuck it in my wallet or like tuck it somewhere or I'll use it as a bookmark. So like I don't want it to be like a whole shrine. I just want it to be like scattered around my life. I'm not a big knickknack person. So like even like on my desk, I have like a pebble that I picked up from Croatia. Like, so I won't get like a keychain, but I'll get like a thing and then I hold it as like a smooth thing when I'm like, want to fidget. But it's like from a trip.
I love that.
That's beautiful to me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah.
Do you get charged?
Do I get charged?
For the keys that you steal?
I don't, excuse me.
That would be my concern.
No, I feel like nowadays it depends. Like I'm not gonna keep like a hotel key to like the Hampton Inn. Like, it'll be like, so those I think you do get charged for, but it'll be like, I don't know, like the one I just threw away with my family. We went on a cruise at Christmas and no, they don't charge for the room key because you need it to get off of the ship when you leave. And then the other one was this like resort and they didn't charge. Yeah. If they don't charge, I guess if I don't have to turn it in, I'll hold on to it.
That might have been
like
my
this
sixth.
is like I was about to say, I feel like this is like the 4th or 5th time your Enneagram has showed up for you since we logged on and started talking. That was why I laughed so hard. It sounded like such a 6 like question response, questions that need answers.
But I do really like that. I wish there was a way I could like keep my trips more in my head, like or more visible in my life. I'd really like that, but I haven't figured it out.
Yeah. Or I'll print like I have one here, like I'll print like one picture. I won't do a whole bunch. I love taking pictures on trips. But I'll print like one picture. And again, I just want it scattered around my life. So like this one's just like sticking on my desk, or like, again, I'll use one as a bookmark, or I'll just like prop it up somewhere. Like, I just like to keep it around.
Yeah, it's photos for me. And Valentine was coming from me being an iPhone person earlier. If you are an iPhone person, you take pictures, it does it for you. It'll like kind of group your trips or your events. And then it'll even at random times in the future, like remind you of them. So
I love when they do that. And then I love when they show you the like featured photos of the day and it is like random pictures. Yeah. So then you'll be like, oh, that was yesterday. Oh, that was that trip 2 years ago. And it's like,
yep.
I would like to point out that Android does also do that for us peasants.
I knew it. I knew it. I was like waiting. I was like, that's why I kind of paused. I'm going to place a pause here for Valentine to let us know that an Android phone also does that. I knew it. I knew that was going to happen.
I just want Apple users to admit that they're in a cult and that they can't get out. And that's okay. And you love it. And that's okay.
I don't like, because it's a pot calling the kettle black. Like, y'all are in a cult too. Like, no. We knew you were going to say something. So like, it's a cult, but we're both in a cult.
I have had my phone for like 5 years and no little bug is making it not work so that I have to buy a new one and changing like the color and calling it a new phone. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to carry on because I'm going to get off my soapbox. Go ahead.
Listen, Android users, y'all try and point fingers at us, but you guys are
we're all in this together.
We're all in the same thing. So I don't know why they have to choose violence when it's like you are doing it too. Like,
well, Camille, I love how the Enneagram has showed up for you. And Valentine, I love how the Enneagram is showing up for you. Do you want to go next or you want me to go?
You go next.
You go. Okay, I'll go. I was having a conversation with my hairstylist. And she was talking about she's a really dope woman. We always talk about just how we're growing and evolving, and of course we cut up too. But she said something that really resonated with me about affirmations, and that for women it can be important for us to not just focus on I am, but I feel. And so I decided to try it on. And I was just thinking about all of the season is wrapping up. Work is going great, as I've talked about over the course of this season. Just a lot of stuff in my life is going great. I'm just like really, really excited about what's next. And I started to try to identify how I was feeling. And I said, I feel like I'm leveling up. And this is all happening in front of a mirror. And it was like when I started to say, I feel like I'm leveling up. You know what happened to Mario Brothers? You know, when he gets the mushroom and he goes, and then that's exactly what I did in the mirror. I didn't even think about it. Before I knew it, I was like doing that and making that sound. It cracked me up. It cracked me. Hopefully Chris can find it.
The noise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love it.
But that's how it showed up for me. I thought it was really funny that this was happening in the mirror because we talked about threes and mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yep.
I can go next.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't this week, but a couple weeks ago, this was like a bigger one, so it's easier for me to remember it. But my uncle was visiting, and he had this huge trip planned with his family to like visit different branches of the family. And so like, obviously our immune systems after COVID are like not the strongest. So like if you're going on a bunch of planes, today I still get sick when I get on planes. So they came back to our spot like that before they were going to go back to Kenya. And he kept having this cough and stuff like that. And so eventually he decided he wanted to go to urgent care because he was having some chest pain. And we were like, oh, that's a good idea. And then there were a lot of people around. And so we were like, who's going to go with him to the urgent care? And I ended up going. And it was funny because like, I don't know, like, you know, in movies when there's like an emergency and the main character, it's like the moment for the main character and the camera kind of goes blurry and then sharp. And then there's like a sound and it's like, okay, right? Like that's what it felt like, because like, it's like I just knew what to do. And it wasn't like pat on the back or anything. It was just like, it was the first time actually where I was like in that kind of urgent situation where I could like watch it instead of being in it. And so like we went to urgent care. There was like a little sign that said like, you know, here, sign in using this computer. But if you're having chest pain, come interrupt us. And then like, I had to go interrupt the lady. And then like the doctor came in and they had to do all these things. And I took all the notes and I took all the pictures. And then I sent it back to like the group chat. And then my sister she's like almost a doctor. And she was like, oh yeah, like there's where you can see the pneumonia and all this stuff. And so then it was like this, just like very like everything was super clear. And then they were supposed to leave that day. Like that was their flight back. And so now it's like, what do we do? Like, do we all stay? Like all three of them? Or does he stay? Because the doctor was like, I don't think you should fly. And so then like we get out of there and then immediately we have to call the flight, right? And so then it's like, now it's a bigger issue of like, how do you talk to Travelocity? How do you like handle all this stuff? And by the way, like you probably know this, Camille, but people need to stop buying from third-party airlines. Like Expedia, Kayak, Orbitz, like just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it for hotels. Do not do it.
I promise you, it is not a good idea. And you will end up feeling so mad and so broke when you have to pay them $250 and the difference in the fare, which might be $800 per person to travel. Like they don't care if you have pneumonia. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And like if it's the airline, and you call the airline and they're like, doctor doesn't want me to travel because it's contagious, they'll probably give you at least a travel credit because the doctor said so. But if you're going through a third party, they have to be the ones to call. They don't want you
coming and spreading that stuff on the plane. Travelocity don't care.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so like then we had to like call them and like it was a time crunch and all this stuff, but it was like not hard for me. And then by the time we got home, my sister was like, we like told them what the doctor said and she said, oh, okay, I guess we should probably call the airline now. And my uncle was like, no, we already did that. And I was like, yeah. So it's just stuff like that where it's like, if it's short bursts, I can do it without any like cost. But sometimes if it's like a long-term situation where I'm like in that mode, I really do burn out.
Absolutely.
I love that. I have a best friend who's a 6, and I've definitely talked about her on the podcast before. And yeah, she's just what you talked about. Like, and I loved that's the focus thing, like the camera scene, how it's just kind of like, okay, it's go time. Like, and like, this calm clarity that you guys bring to crisis in quotation mark situations that are just like, okay, I got it. No problem. I'll send these text messages. We'll call the airline. We'll do this, this, and this, and this. And you probably, like you said, in a short burst, it didn't drain you. Like you were just kind of like, all right, yeah, cool. It was another afternoon. So I love that so much.
I am curious because people always say that about 6s, like 6s are really good in emergencies. And I haven't decided if I think that that's a really good like description of what a 6 is. Like, how are you guys in emergencies?
I'm actually fairly good too. I think it's like a little bit of the head triad. I can like, because I can turn the feelings off. And I can just problem solve. But what I do see different around when I think about the comparison between how I handle emergency and then like I think about like my best friend who's a 6, her planning is more global. Like it's more like it's bigger. Like she can really plan like days in advance. Think like where I'm a little bit more in the moment. I don't know how to explain it, but no, I'm good at it, but not as good as a 6.
Yeah, I would say like my work has helped me to feel more confident about it. Because for the longest, I was a crisis responder with like as far as clients. So I think that kind of helped like sharpen really my confidence when it comes to like a crisis situation. But yeah, I'm with you, Camille. What I noticed with sixes is it's almost like for me, and I'm a 3, so I got some 6 energy, but I don't really find that I'm as aware of how all the ways things could possibly like go. And I think that really comes out for 6s in a crisis. It's kind of like because 6s are used to being aware of like all of the different directions and things to like be aware of. That in a crisis, it's like, man, like you said, they're like the planning, it's so smooth. And so I know I could show up and I could also not be in touch with how I feel so much just to like get stuff done to get us through it. But I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants a lot more than what it looks like a 6 is. Yeah.
Okay. Super interesting. That's helpful.
I think because like, yeah, like it, like how you the example that you gave, like it was like, okay, yeah, I can do the hospital stuff and I'm going to do the flight stuff. Like, whereas I think maybe somebody else would be like, okay, yeah, I can be calm going to the hospital. I can handle the hospital, but I might have forgotten about the flight. Like, and you were already like 2-3 steps ahead, of like the flight and like, let's handle the flight. Like, I think that's maybe one of the differences is it's steps ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
So that was like your question about like how we explain 6s. And that's just one avenue. Like that's only one facet of, right? Like I always, it is true. Like when it's like when each number gets like boiled down to one characteristic and yeah, sure. There is the characteristic that 6s are great in crisis, but that's not the only characteristic.
Yeah.
It's just one of them. And so as like, I want to know, like, how did you learn about the Enneagram? How did you learn about the Enneagram? How did you learn about your type? What's sort of your Enneagram origin story?
I heard a guy on a panel once say that like for him, the Enneagram is like this lover that sometimes they're really close and like inseparable. And then other times in their life, they're a little bit more distant. And that felt really true, right? I think it's, for me, I probably learned about it, that it existed maybe like 8 years ago, maybe 9. And it was mostly just like party favor Enneagram, you know, a person was like, oh my God, I found my type. And it was like this amazing thing. And so then I went and like bought the book and I immediately like found my type. And I was like, that's enough of that. But I got the book and I like would use it sometimes for like, to like, just for fun. Right. Cause it's a cute little thing. And then maybe like 6 years ago, I still had the book, but I was like going through a rough patch. And I was like waiting to get therapy. And I was like, okay, I need something in the interim. So I like pulled the book out and I read my type and specifically like what happens in times of stress. And I was like, oh no. It's that weird, icky familiarity that's like, it's like when somebody calls out your government name in a crowded room, like who said you could do that? The gall, like, but like, what is she doing here? Yeah, so it was, but it was helpful just to like, it was grounding in the sense that like, oh, okay, somebody else has been through this so much so that they can write a book about it.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, I'm a huge reader. So like I find a lot of solace in books. And so having that as a resource was like really helpful. In in a tiny way. Like nothing could have helped me, I don't think, in that time. But it was one touchstone that was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm just really stressed out. And then I would say maybe like 3 years ago is when I like really started to develop a different relationship to the Enneagram. It's like when I started my podcast. And it's when I started like really digging into it. And it really felt like I was in a new space. Like this was no longer fun. Like the fun went straight out the window. But it was like, oh wow, like it was quite sobering. I find the Enneagram very like sobering. And like shit, like wow. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay. I just felt like it's like you're just like handed like here are all of the things that you're like struggling with and like all the tangled messes of things. Like for most of our life, I think we think we're all good. Like we're handling things, we're doing what we can, but we're like also wounded. And it's like, woof, like it's just like looking at it. And yeah, so that was when I sort of started to dig in and like do workshops and stuff like that. And I find that it's been really amazing for like alongside therapy to help me. Yeah. Just like change how I want to show up and how I relate to myself.
Love that. Beautiful. Love that analogy of like, we talk about like, we say this all the time for a lot of things. It's a journey. But I really like the analogy that you used or that you shared about, it's sometimes like a lover, right? Like there's different seasons to your relationship. And that's part of that journey of the Enneagram, right? There's definitely times that we fall down rabbit holes and there's times that we're like, I'm over this. And that it can change, right? Like that it could be more internal or it could be, we can think about it externally with our relationships. We can think about it with work. So I really love that analogy of, and your timeline of that sort of like ebb and flow and different seasons of using it and reasons to use it. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. I liked your extension of it. That was nice.
That's something that stood out to me about us, like everybody being wounded, right? So we can all kind of walk through life with this perspective that we have no shit. And if we do that, it doesn't stink. And these blind spots that the Enneagram, I've like one of the things that really resonates with me and that we talk about, like it can help you like shed light on those blind spots. So I'm just curious, what do you guys think? How, like on average, do you think most people are aware of their wounds, or do you think that they are oblivious?
Did you see how both the head types looked away to think?
Yeah.
You both. It was both head turned in, hand on chin.
Let me go into my trusty head. That's a good question. I will ponder that. Intriguing, Kim. And my initial reaction, my initial thought that came to mind, and so it probably will be fleshed out in a more beautiful way, is I think that people know their wounding. I don't think they know how their wounding affects them or shows up or affects others. It's like they see that they have a scar on their hand. They're like, oh, I see the scar, but they don't see that. But that scar is making you write funny, or that scar is making you not hold a cup well, or that scar makes you cranky in the morning and then now you're cranky to your partner. Like, but I think they see the scar. That's my thought.
I like that. I think of it like, this is an interesting, imagine like you are starting out on like a beautiful day, like it's gorgeous out. And then like you hear a sound from a cave.
Cave?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you're white. So you go to investigate. Right. So you take a step into the cave to be like, did I hear something? And like the sound is obviously like you're wounding. Right. And so you take another step And I feel like people know enough to avoid it. They know the general shape of where it is to unconsciously keep away.
That's a good thought too.
Because like, why would you? Like, it's beautiful outside.
Wow.
So if I'm going to combine our analogies, it's like they have a scar, but they're also like, but I don't really want to look at this scar. I know it's there, but I'm going to look at my other hand and avoid even looking at this scar.
Well, or it's like the scar's on your back. Like you can't easily see it. You'd have to get a mirror. You'd have to have somebody hold it up. You'd have to like turn around, right? It might be making you like stand a little funny, right? Which makes your like abs a little tight and like your legs a little tight and all these other things. But it's okay. Like I'll just shift a little bit.
Wow.
Love that. Kim, what do you think with your question? Do you think people are aware of their nothing to add? You have nothing to add? Okay.
I don't. I think so I'm a therapist. I ask decent questions, but I'm so inspired by both of you and your ability and capacity to come up with just beautiful questions. So the fact that I came up with the question in the first place is good enough for me. I don't have any insight. Y'all did a great job. No, I love both of your answers. I've talked about my experience with the Enneagram, but that was it for me. Like, obviously something was drawing me to wanting to like, understand myself on a deeper level. But when it said it was what it was, I was like, nah, I'm good on that. And it took some time to like really, like you said, Valentine, like want to find a mirror and want to look in it. It took a while. And sometimes it's still a process.
Yes, beautiful.
Valentine, can you tell us about how you notice your type intersecting with your Blackness?
Oof. Okay. Oof. It's so tricky, right? Because, okay, so the Enneagram as like
we want it straight, no chaser. Like, don't feel like you don't filter it. Just we want it how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. So like the world of like, I don't know what you call it, like healing or self-development or whatever, using whatever system you use, often is like so like white, but not just in appearance, but like the people who write the books and like do the podcasts and are the loudest, they're all white and they have a particular language that they use around healing and self-development, which if you haven't spent a lot of time around white spaces, it feels really foreign to you. Like the point of this kind of work is that it should feel as close as a skin to you. Like it should be like you read it and you're like, oh shit, I see that. But when the language is so foreign, and when the attitude sometimes that they have is like this, like Zen, like I've arrived, like, ooh, like it just doesn't feel like it's based in reality for a lot of people. It can feel really exclusionary. And then like, if you're specifically like doing a deep dive into the Enneagram and your own growth, like you'll probably end up at a workshop or a retreat, right? And these retreats are really intense emotionally. They are a space where like you kind of have to commit to being really vulnerable about like the things that have happened to you and how they show up for you and how you continue to struggle with them. And then you do it in public, right? So if you are somebody who has had like acutely unsafe situations with white people, there's no circumstance under which you would agree to that. Like it would make no sense, very reasonably so. So what that means is that even if you have people of color in those spaces, there are people of color who are sort of familiar with white spaces. So the circle's wider, but it's not that wide, right? And so I haven't yet figured out like how to make it less disenfranchising for the people who arguably would need it the most. But then personally for me, this is a hard question because I think based on my like personal history, like I'm a kid of immigrants. I've lived in like primarily white spaces. Like I don't always have the expectation of belonging anywhere. So what ends up happening is the little slights that I feel, I have to be careful not to make them academic, right? So, for example, I went to a retreat last year. It was a really intense retreat. It was my first retreat, and I went in numb because I had like there was shit going down with my family. I was not in a good place. So I went in, I don't know where my feelings went. They were somewhere else for probably like 2 months, right? And so it was a really amazing retreat in a lot of ways. It was primarily white. There were two Black women, 2 Black people who happened to be women. And like in so many ways, it was a wonderful retreat, but there were slights, right? Like, for example, like one was minor and one was a little bit bigger. So like there was a woman there. I was the youngest person there. I'm 31. So there's a lot of like middle-aged white women, couple men, couple Black women. And there was another Black woman. She was maybe like, she was in her 50s, I think. She had a big personality. Like she was an 8, huge personality. And she looked different than me. We look very different. But she came in one day and she had these cowboy boots and she was like, hey, does anybody want these? I got an extra pair. This older white lady was like, oh my God, I love that pair. She took the pair of boots. It was great. Later, I was walking back to my room and I was walking behind, you know where this is going. I was walking behind the woman. I was like, hey, I'm behind you. And she said, oh my God, she wants her boots back. She made a joke. It was not me, right? And I don't know what to do with that, but it stays in like the academic part of my brain. It doesn't really hurt. Like I feel like once you've been in enough white spaces, it doesn't really injure you that much anymore, except when it accumulates, right? Mm-hmm. And then like towards the end of the retreat, one of the facilitators suggested that I might not be the type that I am, which was like kind of startling. But also I showed up really differently. I looked very 5-ish when I went to this retreat. And I was like, I had no feelings. So I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. And so I was taking a walk with a therapist who was there later. And I was like, what do you think? She was a 6. I asked her directly for feedback, right? So this is not like unwelcome. I was like, what do you think? Like, what was this? And she was like, well, you're just not very warm. And that's like the trope about self-pres 6s, right? It's like, we're very warm and friendly and all that. And I was just like,
yeah.
At the time, I don't know what I was feeling, but afterwards I was like, do Black people show warmth in the exact same way white people show warmth? Like, is that the expectation of somebody like that? And I think that that's where we run into issues is like, I read this like quote where it was like, white people can name all 600 dog breeds, but they like have no nuance when it comes to like other people. And it's like the way that I go at it academically is I'm like, that was just a lack of critical thinking, right? Like, why? Think about it, lady. Like, okay, you've got a space of like 27 white people, 2 of them are Black. Do you think that a Black person walking into a white space is going to show warmth in the same way that you saw that, like that white guy who's also a self-pres show warmth? Like, just think about it, right? And then at the same time, like, where's the like space for like, what's this person going through right now that might make them show up differently? It was just like a lot of questions. So the answer to your question is I have no idea.
I think you answered it. And I loved the way that you answered it, Valentine. Like you answered it like macro level of the Enneagram itself intersecting with Blackness. And then you zoomed in micro level of like, here's how it intersects is that sometimes I don't show up warm the way that it's described in the book that was written by a white person, and that my warmth is going to look different, or I'm going to interact with my warmth different depending on where I am.
And the thing is, right, like the scary thing is that like these spaces are so tender. Like you're literally asking somebody to go to the hardest places that they've been to in their life. And you're saying, you can trust me. I'm going to hold you. And the intention is there. I really believe that the people want to hold everybody tenderly, but the mishandling is still going to be like, when you're that tender, it can have really significant consequences if you're really fragile.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. We both been in spaces as, one of the few, where it was traumatic.
Yeah.
Traumatic.
Yeah.
You go through it and not quite the same. Won't forget that.
No.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's what, like, well, I don't know, what was I reading? I think it's the book, is it Rachel Cargo? And the Green Book. Anyways, and she talks about how Black people, we have connections in joy, but then we also have connections in pain. And that when we hear, like, because as you were telling your story, and then even as Kim was just reflecting that, like, yeah, we've been in those spaces, like my body reacts to it. Like there's a like those slights like that you shared. It's like we have common slights, and my little wounds of slights got activated listening to your story. And I'm fine, I'm safe, like we're fine. But like that commonality, like, and that's why when we, vicarious trauma, when we see things, like it activates something in us, even the little things, but then the big things that we see in the world and in the news and in life. But yeah, and I'm sure so many people that were listening were like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about when you just described those slights that are, again, sometimes big and then sometimes small. It hurts. Were the cowboy boots even cute? Like, what were these?
They were cute. They were cute. They weren't my size, unfortunately, but they looked good.
Well, if you had on the cowboy boots and the other Black girl had on the cowboy boots, it would have been way too hard for them to figure that one out. So it's a good thing they were in your size, Valentine. That would have really thrown them for a loop.
Precisely.
What is your hope, like, for Black people? Like, with this conversation, like, what is your hope for Black people around the growth work that, whether it is the Enneagram, whether it's therapy, whether it's whatever, that you have for us collectively, and then also individually?
On the one hand, like, there's the practical stuff of like, I really wish people would like slow down and take themselves like seriously and like what they feel seriously and hold it with like reverence.
Yes.
And just sort of realize that anything you're feeling is completely allowed and it doesn't need to be rushed, and like the world doesn't get to say how you feel and how you show up and all that. But I also recognize that, like, I don't know what the frameworks are that make it accessible to people, right? Like, finding a good therapist is so hard. Like, put aside whether you can afford it. Just like finding a good therapist is so hard. And does therapy work for everyone? I don't know. It's been helpful for me. But I've also heard people who are more like interested in like indigenous knowledge talk about how there are other ways that I don't know much about. But there should be something that like connects you back to yourself. And then like on a bigger scale, like I just want us to have like a massive tantrum. like a kid, like when you're mad, be big mad and be big happy and like stomp around, and like kids don't care about your feelings, about their feelings. Like they're going to be squealing on the floor. Like I just feel like we were denied that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so,
yeah,
I want an outlet. I don't know. Yeah.
we talked a couple episodes ago about the rage room. About rage rooms, and we want to create one for just Black people, where we could just go and just rage safely and effectively. Because just to have a massive tantrum, I love that.
Me too.
I have a friend who during the pandemic, she ended up doing this thing where people would take you to, the place where they smush up all the cars, like scrap stuff. So you can like get a sledgehammer and like take it to a car.
That's a rage room. Yeah. That's a rage room.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was an actual room.
Well, I mean, can be.
Yes, we can make them outside. We can have an outside part and we can have an inside part.
Okay, we're building a whole structure. I love it.
Whole
center. Rage center for Black women.
For Black people. I think we should allow everybody.
We should let the fellas in.
But you know what? We should have different like it's because some genders might not feel safe raging. So we should have a specific women's room, a men's room, and not because safety, but just because if you want your own collective
little non-binary room.
Little non-binary room. Yeah, that's going to be good in there too. That's needed. Yeah, just like massive tantrum. There's that quote, I'm probably going to butcher it. That's like, it sticks with me, where it's like, basically that like Black people could have burned this all down. We haven't. And that just shows you how graceful we are.
Yeah.
And there's beauty to that. And then there's also like, damn.
Right. How much longer are you going to be the bigger person?
Yeah.
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 That's that quote is what I was thinking about. Yusuf Salam. So one of the exonerated 5, who's recently got elected to like city council or something like that in New York, and took out an ad very similar to the one that it looks very similar to the full page ad Trump took out back when this all went down. And so I was listening to him talking about his story, and he said something very similar, that Black people we've always been joyful and loving and about peace, like for everyone, not necessarily just non-violent, because sometimes to get peace, you gotta burn some stuff down. Sometimes you have to go through things. There has to be conflict, there has to be tension in order to get there. And so it's just saying how as a people, we've always leaned more towards that. And that's what came up in me in response to that, Camille, that quote that you just shared. Like, y'all, what would y'all do if we actually like allowed ourselves to have this very valid emotional like response to all of this shit for centuries? So, well, maybe we'll just start with a rage center, or just in your individual work, like you're saying, Valentine, like giving as a Black person, give yourself permission to honor how you feel, regardless of what it is, and don't feel like you have to fall for like what the world says or tells you about how you should feel, especially as a Black person. That might be a better start. All right. Well, you've already mentioned therapy, Valentine. Can you tell us just a little bit more about what your relationship with therapy is or has been?
Yeah. I love therapy. I mean, it doesn't feel good all the time or ever, but it's very,
I love it, but it never feels good.
yeah, I actually don't trust people who are like, therapy feels really good. I was like,
Yeah, I don't trust them or their therapist. That's what.
Fair enough.
And I also don't trust the therapist that like people come out of therapy looking like where they're like, I can't work the rest of the day. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, what is going on in there? Like, you are walking out of there like a crumpled piece of paper.
Yeah, it's
a balance.
It's such a hard balance because different people need different things. So for me, like I've been really lucky that I've had a few different therapists now. All of them have been Black women, and all of them have been like very suited to the situation I was in, which has been like really lucky. And yeah, it's the best. Like it's been so critical to my, to me and to like how I show up in relationship and how I relate to myself, because that's sort of a lot of the, like I don't think I really had a relationship with myself even like 6 years ago. But I think it's amazing. That's all I have to, I mean, if you can afford therapy, if you can find a good therapist, if you believe in therapy and you're ready, like you should do it. Start to tend to some of those things inside of you.
That's beautiful. I saw somebody threaded this. I'm on
Of course, you're probably already on it.
It's so close. But this was just this morning. They were like, if you're leaving therapy and you don't have pit stains under your arms, you're not doing it right. And somebody else is like, or a headache from crying. So we're not wishing those things per se, but it is work and it is uncomfortable. And there, from my experience too, is that there's typically some type of evidence, right? You feel like you are working. You feel like you just for an hour, you just like, I literally feel like I've just had a workout. Sweating, I'm like sore, need a nap. So yeah, just normalizing that.
Normalizing it so much. I have one time our air conditioning wasn't working in the office. It was kind of working, but not really working. So it's like that weird, like, is it working? Like, you know, that feel. It's like, it's hot. It's kind of hot. But it was the last client of the day. So at that point I knew it was not working. I had done the assessment for the hours before. I was like, no, this is not working. I'm not imagining this. And, so my last client came in, we're working. She was talking about something hard and we were working. And like halfway through, she's like, is it hot? Or are we just working? She's like, I'm always hot here, but like, is it more hot? I was like, no, it's more hot today. Sorry, I told you at the top. And she was like, okay, I was really like wondering
what is happening here. Yeah, it'd be like that.
Like hot therapy instead of hot yoga. See what that brings out.
I don't want to do hot therapy as a therapist. So I definitely don't want to do that. But yeah, it is sometimes hard. And like, yeah, very much like Kim said, normalizing it, allowing space to take that nap after. Or I always tell people, like, let your circle know that you had therapy, because that way they can be tender with you. Like, let's not have a big, huge conversation tonight. Let's not do something really, really hard this evening, because I did have therapy and I just need to kind of be a little bit cozy and soft as I kind of unpack whatever we talked about. Because that's the other, I know for me, therapy, a lot of times that day, there's still lots swirling in my head that I want to like it's just like things are reverberating in there. And it's like, I gotta like journal, or I gotta like write it down, or I gotta like meditate on it, like, because it's a lot happened in my brain. So that I feel like sometimes for me, that's sort of the residual is these new thoughts that I'm sort of trying to like place back in their spots or a new spot or something.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Valentine's thinking.
Well, I had a question. Like, I think one of the things I've realized recently about me is that I don't experience emotions live. Like, I have to, like, I thought that I was like, oh, I'm feeling happy. But actually, I'm just like here in my head and I'm like noticing and thinking about what's going to happen next and stuff like that. And I'm wondering, do you guys like, do you think you experience emotions as they're happening?
I think it depends. And so going back to how the Enneagram showed up for me, I could name, I feel like I'm leveling up because I recognize that there was a call for me to take some time to actually like check in with myself and pay attention to how I'm feeling. That's been definitely one of my biggest like gems from therapy, gems even, and learn about my type is that I can feel very deeply, but also not. I can not be tuned in and focused on all of the other things and getting stuff done. And so I've had to intentionally like make it a practice to charge myself to pay attention to how I'm feeling. And that can be uncomfortable. Sometimes it like takes some time and I feel like I'm doing it wrong. So all of that has been a part of like the growth for me. So yeah, sometimes I notice that I'm feeling something. And then sometimes it may take some reflection or some intentional, like kind of zooming in and asking myself, what's really going on? What are you really feeling?
Mm-hmm. As I would agree similarly. I think that has taken work through therapy for me, through learning about my type, that like how to access my feelings first, or in the moment, because I can just be in my head. But joy, I will experience that in the moment 100%. And I can name that one immediately. But like an anger is probably another one that, well, actually, no, I had to do work around anger. Anger, I can now feel in the moment, but at first I think I thought about it or squashed it or judged it or whatever I was doing with it. But sadness, I gotta check in for that one. Usually that's a head first thing. And then I have to check in with sadness, but I've gotten a lot better at it. Movies, and I give this to clients as homework. Sometimes allowing yourself to emote in real time with the movie, almost as that practice of like getting sucked in and just letting yourself feel. So I think it depends. I really love like what Kim said. I think it depends. What about for you? Do you feel you said sometimes it's after the fact?
Yeah, usually it's after the fact, because I've noticed that for me, if I can name it, I'm immediately in my head. Like there's a sensation in my body that's like uncomfortable, right? Like it might be like a pit in my stomach or something like that. But if I immediately go to like, what might that be? Why might that be? And then off I go in my head. But like if I stay below language, then I can be there with the feeling.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
But who wants to do that? Like, that sounds terrible. It's not ideal. Like because it's like, I can't tolerate it for very long is my thing. Like, I can't just be like, there's a pit in my stomach. There's a pit in my stomach. I can't tolerate it for very long before I'm like asking now questions like, what is it? Interrogating it.
Yeah. Hi, Camille here. I hope you all have been enjoying season 3 as much as Kim and I enjoyed recording it. New this season that I wanted to share is that I will now be offering one-on-one Enneagram consultations. What that means is that if you have any specific and unique questions or curiosities related to the Enneagram, how it shows up for you, how you use it at work, in relationships, how you can use it for growth, or if you need some focused help on even learning your type, then we can meet for 90 minutes to answer those questions. I love doing these as I get to deep dive into your questions and provide you with custom and tailored answers that we get to discuss together. If you're interested, you can reach out to me via social media or in the show notes. You can find my email. I'm excited to get to meet some of you in this personal format and get to be a part of your Enneagram journey. Now, back to the show.
Camille, I think you brought this up last season, just practicing a curiosity. And this definitely comes up with my clients and me, right? Like we can all kind of want to get to the what is it so that we can then do something about it so that it's not so we can solve it or it's not an issue anymore. At least, we have the information. And so, we feel like it's kind of a way of validating it. And so to get back to what you said about giving ourselves permission to just like honor how we're feeling.
Slow down, yeah.
I remember we might actually walk through a little activity, but just kind of questions, ways that you can get curious about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And not so much feel like you have to get to like, what is it?
I have a new analogy for this with clients. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
When there's a little kid that's crying, and there's two ways that you can approach this kid crying. You could approach this kid going, "Why are you crying? What's wrong? What are you crying about? There's nothing to cry about. I don't understand why you're crying. You have candy, you have food. Like, what are you crying about?" That's one way. And then there's another way of like, "Oh, you're crying. Okay. Like, do you want to sit down and like, tell me why you're crying? What's going on for you? Like, oh my gosh, I'm sad that you're crying," right? Like there's a difference in those ways of curiosity. One way of curiosity, and we are so trained to think that the first way is me trying to figure it out, because at the end of the day, that parent or that person that's like, "Why are you crying?" is probably trying to solve the problem. It's like, "Oh my God, you're crying. I have to fix it." Right. But it doesn't feel good. And it's not being with the emotion. It's just trying to fix it or be analytical about it, versus the curiosity and the compassion of like, "Oh, you're crying. I'm aware that you're crying. I have eyes on you. I notice that you're crying. But let's be curious about it in a different way." So I would say for you, Valentine, like, I don't think it's bad for you to name what the pit in your stomach is. You do have to notice there's a pit in my stomach. And what is it? But I can then ask the questions differently than what is it? What's wrong? How do I fix it? Why am I like that? How long have I been like that? Like, it could just be like, "Oh, there's a pit in my stomach. What is that? Oh, that's anxiety. Okay. Yeah. I'm anxious. What am I anxious about? Oh yeah. Like, I was nervous about this interview. That makes sense. Right. Like, that's different than the like, "Oh, what's wrong with you that you have a pit in your stomach? How do I fix this? What tools do I need to use?" So I think it's it's okay to bring it up to your head. Just maybe bring it back down then too. Like, okay, my stomach is hurting. Like, how can I soothe my stomach? How can I put my hand there? How can I take deep breaths? How can I drink some water? Like, bring it back down to your body or bring it back down to your heart. Even though you brought it up to your head to notice it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah. And we use the language that we were given. So, right, like, all of us were kids. We all had our parents ask us why we're crying in that tone. So then we do it to ourselves, right? Like, "Why are you crying?" Yeah.
This is really what I noticed is yeah, the words are different, but the tone is different. There's a compassion and there's a love and there's a grace and patience. And so all of that is really important. And really just like we're talking about, head, I think it's so important to kind of be able to be aware of like how that plays out for each person, kind of like your self-talk or your internal dialogue. Again, going back to, for many Black people, because of systems and circumstances and the way things are, like we can be conditioned to not be tuned into that. And so that can be a part of why it's so uncomfortable, to even do like therapy or self-growth work, is because you're becoming more familiar with that tone and how you've been talking to yourself or thinking to yourself. And so just that shift and it just being more compassionate and just more patient can be huge for us.
And I'm still thinking, like, I think, your question of like, because then I think about like twos. There probably some twos are listening to this, or some fours, and they're probably like, no, it's feelings first, right? Like, and they're probably like, what? My head? Like, what are you guys even talking about? And so I do think it's different for everybody. And so sometimes other people like twos and fours, you kind of are actually like, please bring that up to your head. Like, please bring that feeling up to your head to realize that no, it's not the end of the world. Like, it was just today. Like, and so I think that's what's cool too about the Enneagram is it does give language for how different people experience emotions and their different centers of intelligence, where we can say like, okay, how do you bring it back to your heart? How do you bring it back to your body? Or how do you bring it up to your mind?
Yes, yes, yes.
What has been a gem, maybe this is your gem, but what has been a gem you've received in therapy recently or ever?
I have a couple that like, I actually call them like revelations. I know, thank you, Kim. I like that reaction.
Sticky note.
So, have you ever heard of like what are called like spiritual boundaries?
Say more.
Say more about this.
So people who have like connections to ancestors often talk about this, where they're like, you want to call in ancestors, but you want to be like, you have the boundaries about which ancestors are allowed in. I don't do a lot of ancestry work because I think it's super interesting, but I just don't have the skill for it. But I did meet with somebody once who said you need to have spiritual boundaries. And this made me think that that's kind of the term for one of my revelations. I feel so silly using that term. But essentially, like, I know that in certain circumstances, I go into a rough patch, right? So like if I lose my job and I'm like job searching, which I think is normal for most people, like you start, your mental health starts to take a toll and you start to tell yourself all these stories, right? Like, you're useless, you're a piece of shit. Like, why can't you do this? Like, other people can get jobs. Why can't you get a job? Take your pick, whatever it is, right? Like, there's all these stories that come up in your head. And I think one of the boundaries that I drew once I like accepted as a value that I don't want to treat myself badly was that like, you have to separate the emotion from the story.
Yeah.
So like, I'm feeling really demoralized because I have been applying for a job for a really long time and I have not been able to find one. That's all true. You are allowed that. But to be like, see, you're not worth anything because like you can't even get a job. And like, what was the point of that degree? And like, what are you going to do now? What if it never ends? Like, that is not true. And like, actually is not allowed because it's not true. So like, you can sort of funnel the feelings to the true thing, which is like, I'm feeling demoralized. This is really hard. I really am struggling. But the like self-flagellation, it was just like, I've just decided that that's not a value of mine. And of course I slip up and I like mess up and I veer into that territory. But as soon as I recognize it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is not a value of mine. And for me, it's easier because as a 6, like it's a grounding thing. I've already decided. I don't need to decide again. So once I decide to go into that territory, or once I'm in that territory and I recognize that I'm there, it's pretty simple to bring myself back. Like, because I've already put my pole in the ground. I did the thinking. I did the like reasoning. I'm like, okay, it is not a value of mine to like beat myself up and like, and treat myself badly. So yeah, so that's sort of boundary. I guess, I don't know if it's a spiritual boundary, but it's a boundary that I make in my head. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, you know, set some people free. I know you have. So 6 is in like anxiety and in your that internal committee, right? To be able to like trust yourself enough to remember, no, when it comes to this, I've already made a decision. We don't have to run it through the committee again, right? This is what it is, and this is coming from me. I think it's going to be.
Oh, I love that you said that. I hadn't thought about that, but that's true. Like, this was a decision I made by myself. And that like, it felt super stabilizing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really like that. I think you also gave a great example of like bringing the feeling up to your head to go, what's true or not, right? Like the logic of like, let me now ask, like, is this true? Yes or no? If it's not true, then I'm not spinning on that. And so I really like that use of your mind and the discernment and the what ifs to like discern, like, is this true or not? I think it's a great skill. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sweating.
You're sweating. Oh yeah. I was thinking about, I don't know if you do this, Kim, in therapy, when a client is doing what you're talking about and they'll like, maybe they the same exact example. Like they're like, oh, I haven't found a job, but I will be like, and they're going and I'll be like, yeah, I'll sit with you while we're sad about not getting a job. But what I'm not going to do, like that's like, I will set that boundary. Like, I'm like, what I'm not going to do is talk about how much you suck, because that's not true. Like, yes, is it true that you're sad you haven't got a job? Sure. We'll sit there all day. And I will let you have it and we will cry about how you haven't gotten a job. But we're not going to cry about like something that's not true. So I love that. Like, I love that a lot. Like what you talk about, like that spiritual boundary, that sort of emotional, it's like an emotional boundary.
Yeah, I think that's right. Maybe it's an emotional boundary.
I would argue same coin, maybe just a different side. But I'm of the belief that our emotions are very much connected to our spirit. There's a connection there. And yes, Camille, I do. I almost tell people, like I try to embody this and model, this kind of protective mode that me as your therapist who's invested in your growth will go into when you start to believe lies about yourself, and also hoping that that same skill that you'll start to practice it and kind of recognize when you are starting to be hard on yourself, to be able to like, yeah, protect yourself, stand up for yourself. Like you said, Valentine, no, I'm not, but I'm not, that's a lie. I'm not believing a lie. Nope, not going to do it. Valentine, where can the people find you and share anything that you'd like to, as far as any work that you're doing that you want the folks to know about?
Well, you can listen to my podcast at Enneagram-ish. It's on all the platforms. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm on a really serious Instagram hiatus, like almost a year strong.
Nice.
But yeah, but I'll probably end up coming back soon. So if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at Enneagram_ish. I'll hear it. I'll read it in like a couple months when I come back.
Perfect. And we'll make sure we drop those links too, so that people can easily access them.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. This is great. I'm just like sitting here smiling. My heart is full. So thank you for your thoughts and your wisdom and your sharing. And, we say this all the time, but we don't take it lightly. The time that you've taken to share with us, but then also the vulnerability. And it's a gift that you've given us and our listeners, and we treasure it. So
you guys are an amazing team. So it's a really beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's it. That would be a wrap.
Yep.
Woof.
And with that, we will see y'all on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.